right, welcome to Casa podcast episode 3. Very lucky to be in the home studio of Mr. Adam RICCI. Adam, thanks for welcoming me to your house and your studio up here.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be on the third podcast, Marco. I know we usually chat when you're cutting my hair, but this is a nice change.
Yeah, I know. Like, I sometimes think I should have a mic on me while I'm doing the haircuts because I have some good stories. Usually you spend a lot of the time just talking about your brother. And same with him. I'll just get both sides of the story from both of you.
Yeah.
But I love your setup here. Talk to me. What's happening with you? And new music. What do you got?
So we're in my home studio. I've always been kind of in my bedroom with the studio, and then last year the parents kind of went away, and I was like, I'm sitting up upstairs.
Take it over.
Exactly. So I set up like a little temporary setup with a trestle table and that sort of thing up here. And then when they got back, I went back down to my room, and I was like, nah, that was too good. So I went to IKEA, got the table, got all the setup, bought some new gear, and I was like, okay, I need to set up a nice room for myself. And yeah, so I'm loving it. It makes me more motivated seeing like a beautiful setup. You know, you walk into it, it's an area where you can just make music and be creative. So
I was going to say, imagine you're a bit more productive up here when you have a space dedicated to your music instead of stepping over your jocks and that in the bedroom. You got a clean space, walk in and away you go.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's not always clean, but it's it's definitely a space because it's good to be like away from that whole waking up sort of thing, and then you're in the room already. It's good to kind of like come up here and be like, nah, I'm away from everything else.
For sure.
Got my like enclosed space. I can close the shutters, make it, I can basically make it nighttime if I want it to be nighttime.
Yeah.
So I can set up whatever vibe I want to set up. So it's good.
I can imagine you spend a lot of late nights in here just grinding away, and you probably forget what time it is. Like, it's literally just like a little sanctuary away, which is good.
Yeah, I produce super late. I don't record very late because even though I do as much to like keep in the sound as possible, when everyone's sleeping, it's still like you can still pretty much hear me. But yeah, I produce like super late. So
what made you kind of take the step from, obviously you want to be an artist yourself, to put as much time into the producing side of things as your own work on your own kind of career?
Yeah, I mean, like when I first started making music, I didn't know that finding like type beats on YouTube was a thing. So I just thought like every artist made like their own music. It's pretty naive of me back in the day. But I didn't know where to find beats. So I thought, okay, like I've got to make my own. So I'd already been learning classical guitar for years and years and years. So like I started out by just playing some classical guitar. My mate, Jeremiah, was already producing for like a year.
Yep.
So he kind of inspired me to learn to produce myself. So from there, like, he gave me like a completely legal version of Ableton.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
We always pay for everything we use.
We do. Well, now we do 100%, but back then, yeah, still legal.
Yeah.
So I just started making beats for myself, like, initially. Started making my own songs, and then I thought, well, people like making money off beats.
Yep.
If I'm making good beats that are good enough for myself, I'm sure I can make beats that are good enough for other people. So
sure.
Other people started, being interested in my classical guitar beats because that was kind of a thing that I started making my own sound with that.
I was going to say, it's a bit of a point of difference from you because not many people obviously are using that kind of sound. I mean, classical guitar, I think of, correct me if I'm wrong, like Santana and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that sounds real cool. So for you to kind of incorporate that into more of a hip hop vibe is obviously something different that you do.
Yeah, like a lot of rap producers use like Spanish guitar samples and stuff, but it's never like themselves playing. They're using samples that someone has made digitally.
Yep.
Almost like 99% of the time, it's always digitally made samples. So for me to like produce things, no samples, most of the time, depending on what like a client wants, and it's like my classical guitar that I'm tailor making for what someone wants. It's been good. Yeah, there's been a bit of interest in it, so that's kind of where I've been putting a bit of my time towards producing a lot, but also still on my own music a lot as well. Yeah.
It's pretty much a 50-50 split with you now between producing and doing your own music, or you starting to favour like one more than the other?
I still probably make for myself more than others.
Yep. Yeah, but you're not going to give out the good stuff, are you? The best stuff.
There's been that many situations where I've made like a couple beats for people and I've sold it to them. And then like a couple of days later, I'm like on the verge of texting him saying, mate, can I buy my beat back?
You'd be really attached to it, hey? Like, it's like you pretty much nurture the whole thing from the first chord. So you'd be really emotionally attached to some of them. You know,
it's a few hours work.
Yeah.
So, and you know, it becomes like your intellectual property sort of thing. Like after you've made it, like it's your creation, you know? Like once I've spent time like creating this new guitar melody from like this chord progression that I had in my head, like when I'm producing the beats to it, I'm already thinking of melodies that I would put on the song myself. Because like I think of melodies and certain lyrics that jump out like super early. So if I'm already doing that on like a beat that I'm making for someone else, it's a bit worrying because I'm like, oh no, like I want this for myself.
Did you find now as well that the Perth scene, obviously people are starting to purchase beats from you, but the Perth music scene, I guess it helps a lot with the internet and how accessible everything is now. But is it growing to a point where Perth artists are starting to get more recognised on a world scale or on a Australia-wide scale?
I think we're just on the verge of getting recognition Australia-wide.
Yeah, because there is a lot of talent. Like
there's heaps of talent in Perth. If you think about like Italians listen to a lot of US music, but they listen to Italian drill, Italian rap.
Yeah.
In the US, they listen to US music. In the UK, they listen to UK music. In Australia, we listen to everything but Australian music, pretty much.
Yeah, that's true.
So, like, it's super difficult to... The thing is, there's, like, a scene in Perth, and almost everyone in the scene, in, like, the hip-hop, R&B music scene, know who I am, what music I make, and, you know, like, when I have a song out, they know that I've dropped a song. But it's the whole thing of appealing to, like, the wider audience, the people that aren't in the scene, people that aren't other artists or producers or sound engineers or studio owners or, you know, stuff like that, DJs.
Yeah.
It's super hard. The hardest part is to, like, appeal to, like, kids in school.
Yeah, for sure.
Or just, you know, random everyday people that are, you know, living their lives in Perth that aren't, like, in the music industry.
Yeah. That's
the hardest thing because we're so used to, like, listening to artists from, you know, other countries and the biggest artists in the world. In reality, we actually have heaps and heaps of talent here.
Yeah, people just get kind of comfortable in what they listen to. And, it's like anything. You just get stuck in that routine. So I guess unless it's thrown in front of your face, it's hard to go and find sometimes. Yeah,
100%. I think it's not as accessible, even though like it's online.
Because what platforms really? So obviously you got your Spotify and things like that. Yeah. But what other platforms kind of helps you? Where people will just come across it rather than go looking for your music?
I guess like your biggest platform that has like the most organic reach is TikTok.
Of course, I didn't think of that.
But the thing is, with that, you can create like a big audience super quickly.
Yeah.
But then hardly any of them are going to transfer over to like Instagram, YouTube. It's one of the hardest things to actually get people off the app once they're on the app and they're scrolling.
For sure.
So like you'll get huge on TikTok. I got a couple of mates that got like heaps and thousands of followers on TikTok. But it doesn't necessarily always translate to legitimate fans, legitimate listeners, creating a fan base.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the times it does when you have a song that absolutely like blows up on a crazy worldwide scale.
Like Central C and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. But if you have one video that gets like 2 million views, and then all the rest of your stuff doesn't really, it's not always a big help having such high organic reach.
Yeah.
And the things like Facebook's dead.
Facebook's kind of just dropped off the face of the earth. Well, I guess for music, there's nothing there, hey. It's nothing there for it.
Not anymore.
Twitter, there wouldn't be much except for like engagement with people.
Yeah. And Instagram has super low organic reach now as well. You know, you post something and maybe only like 30% of your followers will actually see it. 40% maybe slightly more. But the organic reach has declined like heaps, like to a crazy scale. You used
to have to scroll to get it off your feed, like otherwise, like you were going to see it whether you liked it or not. So people would at least scroll past it.
Yeah.
Is that? I guess YouTube, Spotify, TikTok. YouTube's starting to kind of try and take over that smaller video kind of scene too now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. It definitely makes it harder for people to get their stuff out there. But I guess once you do kind of hit that right point, it can happen really fast, can't it? Where if you get that traction, it can change really quick. Like music that you're putting out now and over the past 12 months, you can be doing the same thing in 12 months and 24 months, and there's a ton of listeners listening. You just got to get that that wave of momentum. Hey,
they say it takes like it's every artist, every person's one song away from blowing up, right? Or one song away from changing their life. So the more music you make, the more likely you are from having that one song. So it's all about like strategy in the way you market, but it's also about a lot about luck, as well, and overloading with content.
I think that's a lot. You got to be consistent with it. Eh?
Yeah.
A lot of people just probably make a couple songs.
Yeah.
Don't have the traction, give up. You got to keep going. Hey.
I can say like I've been similar to that in the past like couple of years. I haven't released anywhere near as much like music as what I'd like to. Like I've got 8, 9 songs that are like completely finished, pretty much fully mixed and mastered, ready to go. That I really should have put out already, but sometimes it's a bit difficult in the industry and navigating and putting out music. It's probably one of the hardest things. It's easy. The easiest part is making it, getting it all ready. The hardest part is kind of getting all the infrastructure there to put it out, and having like an actual successful release that doesn't just flop.
What's been your most successful song so far? Obviously, you got the new one out now.
Yeah.
On Top.
On Top's doing great.
Is that on top of your?
It actually is. It's on top of the on top of my list of Spotify.
It would have sucked if it was called On Top and it was on the bottom. That would.
No, it wouldn't be fitting, would it? Miami Nights is probably my most, to this day, probably the best streaming song.
Yeah.
Which is great song, produced by myself as well.
Yep.
But my favorite song, and I think it did like super well as well, was Too Many Friends.
Yeah.
Too Many Friends is just like a track which I got a lot of a lot of people were able to relate to it and told me that it was like their favorite song sort of thing. But in the grand scheme of things, I'm saying like these songs are doing well and doing good streaming, but in reality, like it's still tiny numbers to where I'm looking to be.
Sure, at least it's growth. Like growth is important. It's like my first podcast. I think got 43 views. Next one got 60.
That's it, man. You just grow.
I don't know if that was just because I had Josh's beautiful head on there or not, but hey, I'll take it. Whatever it takes.
That's all right. But no, you're gonna have setbacks anyway. Like I'm gonna have songs that stream less than my last song and the song before that and that sort of thing. It's only natural because maybe one day when you posted that song, the algorithm wasn't working, or Spotify didn't put you on a playlist that you got on last time, or the curators of Spotify, didn't think it was good enough, or simply it just wasn't as good of a song, or the people didn't respond to it as well. So this is going to be the same with like podcasts, right? You're going to have ones that do super well and ones that don't do well. Regardless, you're growing anyway.
Sure.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's all very new to me how all the algorithms and stuff work, but you see kind of how people get to the point they do, and with the podcast side of things and the music side of things, I really hope for you that it blows up because I know you're very talented, mate, and you'll get there. Keep plugging away at it.
It's definitely a hard one, but you got to put yourself out there and set yourself up for it.
Definitely.
And these next tracks that I've got lined up, I'm super, super happy with.
Yep.
On Top was a song that I made when I was 19. Currently 21. So like I just recently, like 3 weeks ago, released a song that I made, a year and a half ago, in August last year. Yeah, start of August last year. And as a few things happened, I was meant to get like a feature on it and that sort of thing. It didn't end up working out, but it's the music that I'm making now, I think, is like significantly better than the stuff that I've got out, which is super exciting. I can't wait for like people to hear it and respond to it, and
Oh, cool. How important for you growing up was learning an instrument? Obviously, you played sport as well. I'm probably a person. I actually made the clarinet club in primary school, and that's my claim to fame, man. I tell everyone I played the clarinet, and it was like one of those beep tests, like to see if you got the ear for it.
Oh wow!
And yeah, she called my name out, and I was like, oh yeah, sweet, get that hour off every Monday, go play the clarinet. And I'd always leave my reeds at home just so I didn't actually have to play the thing because I didn't have a clue. But yeah, as a clarinetist myself, what impact did having learnt an instrument have on your high school life, your life so far? Because sport's great, but once your knees go, there's not much to it. I assume music's something that's going to stick with you forever.
Yeah, I've always been so musical. Like, I was that kid that like I used to sit in front of like the TV and watch like videos of Michael Jackson's concerts. Like when I was like super young. I was obsessed with like music always. I used to like grab mum's computer way back in the day and listen to like Chris Brown and Jason Derulo and stuff, like all the old stuff, and Usher. And then from there it was like I came home from school one day and they gave everyone a form, and this was like, I don't know, I think it was pre-primary, or going into year one, right? So I started super early. They gave everyone a form. They were like, oh, if you want to, learn an instrument, like tick which instrument, and then like we'll consider you for it. So I ticked like guitar, and I was super excited to, start learning guitar. So I started learning like acoustic guitar, and by the time it got to year 5, I'd been learning for a few years already, and I went to Trinity. I was lucky enough to go to Trinity, and they were like, we only teach classical here.
Was clarinet in there or what?
Clarinet was in there.
So you didn't make it, man.
No, I didn't make the cut. But the only kids, the only thing you could learn in year 5 to year 6 was like violin or cello.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I've been playing, guitar for the last 3 years. Surely you can make an exception. And so they were like, all right. So I had like a meeting with the with Doc and a couple of like, the classical guitar teachers, and they were like, all right, we want to see what, if you're able to play. We can only teach from year 7 up, but we might be keen to teach you. So I played whatever I played, and then I showed them a composition that I made myself, and they were like, yeah, we'll teach you from year 5. So I've just been playing classical guitar pretty much my whole, almost literally as long as I can remember. I've been playing guitar.
Yeah.
And I played that all the way till year 12. Did ATAR music as well, and I've just loved it. It's been so important for me.
This is a good mental release for you as well. Like, do you find that that's something you go to? When I play sport, when I play soccer, I always feel like the 90 minutes you're on the pitch, your mind is just so present. You're not thinking about anything else, doesn't matter what's going on. Like, you're just so in sync with what's happening at the time that it kind of takes away a lot of negative thoughts or anything in your head. That's your escape from things. Is music? Do you find music's a bit of an escape for you from general reality? It's just like a happy place. Yeah,
definitely for me. Like when I'm playing classical guitar, sometimes I'll just get like obsessed with a song. So I just currently learned like this song Tango in Sky, and which I in year 11 and year 12 wasn't allowed to learn because it was like too difficult and too risky.
No Tango in the Sky for you.
No, it wasn't.
What a song name to not be allowed to learn. Like, it just sounds. It sounds
it's
so
a beautiful piece.
Yeah, it sounds beautiful.
But to be fair, like it was too risky to like play in like a final exam because it's relatively short. I've got to play for I had to play for 20 minutes. I need to learn a lot of pieces, and it was such a difficult piece that if under pressure, it's easy to make a mistake. So I ended up like learning that like a few months back, just out of like my own accord. And like when I get obsessed with like a piece, I'll spend days and hours per day just playing it, and legit nothing else matters, which is, it can be a bad thing.
Yeah, that OCD kicks in. Hey, you have to play it perfectly.
Yeah, and then you get like the calluses on the fingers and all that sort of stuff.
Just grinded.
Yeah, pretty much. But no, I love it. I recently got a new classical guitar as well because that needed an upgrade. But yeah, classical guitar, I love it so much.
I can imagine by the 500th time you played it, your parents are just like, pick a new song out and like...
Pretty much, yeah. Papa was like, he loves this Tango in Sky.
Yeah.
But the whole time I was learning it, yeah.
He just wants you learning Toto to Cutugno and a bit of Eros Ramazzotti, man. That'll get him going.
That's it. For Johnny Morandi and stuff. But nah, I got to learn more stuff, but
cool.
I love it.
Have you been in sync with this World Cup going on?
I have. I spent many days sleepless.
Yeah, he's just sleeping pattern as bad as mine at the moment.
It's terrible.
Yeah, look, it's actually been decent. I was a bit funny about the whole Qatar thing. Like, I still am. You can tell the crowds and stuff aren't what they used to be. But
not at all.
I was just thinking this morning, I can't believe I'm having a Milan supporter on the podcast. I nearly called it this morning to can it. But I was like, I'll make an exception.
The reigning champions.
Yeah, let's not worry about it. Actually, Leao's goal was sick last night.
It was a good goal, eh?
Yeah.
It's quality.
Yeah. I think my favourite moment from the tournament so far, do you know Boubacar? He plays for, I think it was Senegal or... no, it was Cameroon.
Yeah.
Boubacar, he's like a big striker up front. And he must be like 40 years old now. He's the one that scored, taking his shirt off and getting red carded.
Yeah.
So me and Boubacar, we go way back. we always play at FIFA Pro Clubs.
Oh, yeah?
So we get like 6 mates on and create a team. And our CP used to always generate names for players.
Yeah.
So we've always had a Boubacar at left back.
Oh,
and
wow.
like, he was the guy we would just blame for everything in our team. You know, like every time we'd get it, he'd be doing step overs and stuff.
Yeah.
CPU controlled him. Man, Boubacar sucks. Playing him out of position the whole time. He's a striker, man.
All right, mate. You just didn't know.
Yeah.
You didn't know, but it's been exciting, but these 3 a.m. games are killing me.
Yeah.
The 3 in the morning games, like I stay up till like whatever to watch the games, but far out, it's killing me. Especially if I got like work the next day. That Australia game, I went to work with 3 hours sleep.
Yeah, it's not
and
ideal.
mind you, I had like a 15-minute nap during my lunch break, and I was like,
We just lay down at the back, yeah.
yeah, pretty much, just hands on the desk. But no, and I was all good. But yeah, they're killing me, eh?
What's your honest thoughts on that Australian kind of run? Look, I get the spirit and all that.
Yeah.
I'm not as convinced as what some people seem to be.
I'm not convinced with Graham Arnold, I gotta say it.
Yeah, that's the one, man.
But-
People get sensitive.
Yeah.
Just be careful, people will come after you.
You can't say like, I'm gonna be like, they did well against Argentina.
Yeah.
It was quality. They had a good game against Argentina. But I don't know about some of these selections.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just think that when you see the growth of like your Japan and your South Korea teams that were at the same point at, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever it was, they play such a brand of football that's to win matches. Whereas I feel like we're just hanging on for dear life sometimes. And obviously you're versing quality opposition, but you just kind of want to see the team be that little bit more adventurous.
Yeah, no, it's true. But I think it's a deeper problem than just like first team selections and that sort of thing. I feel like you look at like the Japanese league and what is it called? The
J-League's
J-League?
huge now.
Right. And where was it like years and years ago?
That's what I mean. Like they're developing.
It's the whole of Australian football in general. It's just shit.
Yeah.
Sorry for my language.
No, that's all right. You can get out of swear.
You can beep that out.
Yeah, no, I won't beep it. I'll say it's all shit. There we go.
No, it's really bad. I think it's terrible.
Yeah.
Like we should be, the league should be so much bigger than it is. Look at what's just happened to Perth Glory.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The system's just not set up.
It's really bad.
There's obviously a link in the chain somewhere where the development cuts off.
Yeah. Because I think our youth teams are quality.
Yeah.
Our youth teams go over and compete with like other countries and do really well. It's just when it gets to that next level. Yeah. It's really bad in Australia. Like we don't have the infrastructure in place to have like an exciting league. Like I don't I grew up like going to like a few glory games and stuff. I used to go to like a lot more than what I do now.
Yeah. It's even hard to access now for a fan, which is not great. Like you're gonna pay $30 a month to watch it. Like I used to sit there on a Sunday and be like, oh well, there's nothing on, or like I'm just chilling out. Oh, glory games on or a bit of A-League on. Yeah. Like, you'd at least throw it on so it's in front of your face. But
but like you go anywhere in the world and everyone there supports their local team. Yeah. You come to Perth and who supports Perth Glory really? Yeah. Like it's full of, you got me, I'm a Milan supporter first and foremost. Yeah. You come to Perth, you should see like, oh, they're an A-League supporter first and foremost. Yeah. But everyone supports like, whatever team their parents go for sort of thing, which is it's normal because the A-League doesn't offer anything for us to support really.
Yeah, it's going to take a big revamp. I think for a league like the A-League as well, COVID probably kills them like big time when you're relying on not too much funding and stuff like that. When something like that hits, it's probably going to take a big hit. I watched a lot of the NBL as well, which is really weird. But the NBL, like the imports and stuff, it's good now. Like every team's actually got really exciting players and that to watch.
The atmosphere is crazy.
Yeah. Hopefully the soccer can get to that point, because it'd be nice, like you say, if you actually go to a Glory home game as a a real passionate fan,
right?
And be excited about what's on. What's coming up for you in the next 12 months? What does it look like for yourself? And what do you kind of envision?
Yeah, so I just did a like this year I've come back from a Melbourne and Sydney trip.
Yep.
That I went around and I did a lot of studio sessions and linking up with other producers and artists in Melbourne and Sydney in those scenes, because they're a bit more developed than the Perth scene is right now. So I plan on going back to Melbourne and Sydney at some stage, possibly early next year.
Awesome.
I also plan on releasing a lot more music. I've got heaps of music, ready to put out. I want to put out music in, February, March, April, May.
Feed your Argentinian fan base,
from all over the world.
Two in Argentina there.
That's so funny. I saw like a Russian listener as well.
Yeah, that's so weird, eh?
It's so weird.
Do you ever just wonder, like, how they get to that?
Yeah. No, it's crazy. Yeah, I got like a few listeners in, like, I don't know, like Turkey.
Yeah.
All over. It's weird, but it's cool to see, man.
Yeah,
it's cool to see. But I plan on releasing heaps more music, because like, how can I be an artist if I'm like releasing three songs a year like I did this year?
Yeah.
So next year's like full steam ahead.
Yeah.
Everything's ready. Everything's, I have no excuses next year. This year, not saying I had excuses, but I had like a few setbacks with things, with some health things, some other things.
Yeah, man, we need to wrap you in bubble wrap. The jab done us both in on the heart condition.
Not good, man. Not good.
Yeah. No, anyway, look, I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks
and giving me your time and letting me into your Casa here at home.
100%.
And all the best for the next 12 months, and no doubt soon we'll see you in a sold out arena. I'll be standing there at the back just boffing along.
At the back?
Yeah. Hey, well.
I'll get you backstage pass.
Let's go.
We do like a little skit on stage where you come in and you cut my hair while I'm on stage singing.
Oh, podcast at the back, man. I'll do podcasts from behind.
Oh, man. 100%.
No, it's good to see you, and we'll catch up with you soon, eh?
Yeah, I'll see you next week when I'm getting my hair.
I'll see you tomorrow for a haircut. Thanks, mate.
Sure, cheers.